Joining us now in Studio B is the athletic director of BYU, multiple-time Super Bowl champion, all-around good guy, Tom Holmoe. We welcome you back to Studio B, Tom.
It's been a while. Thanks, boss.
It has been a while, and I'm digging the sweatshirt from the Nike SB line.
You know, we're gonna head up to Seattle today, so I hear it rains a little bit up there, so I gotta be prepared.
Did Danny get you that?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course he would. He's the style guy, right? Perfect. Okay, BYU's 3-1, ranked 20th. What has this meant to you in the program after a 4-9 season? This has been a tremendous start.
I think what it means to me is what it means to you and everybody in Cougar Nation. It's an opportunity to see our team play like we want them to play. And I'm really proud of them that they took last year, which was very tough, and they did something about it. It was a great offseason for the players and the coaches to work and to create a culture and to get back on track. And now they're on track, and we'll see how far down the trail it goes.
What is the impact of having a national ranking, right now BYU number 20, at this juncture of the season?
I think it's important because it gives our players confidence and our coaches. It lets them it shows them that you can't get in there without beating a couple teams, and we had a couple good wins early. The ranking at the end of the season is one that really counts. But to have it right now, it gives them an opportunity to. It's like a shot in the arm, and now we'll go up to Washington saying there's something on this. This game is super meaningful. It's not like you're going into it just to hold on and see if you can hang in there. They want to go in there and do their best to win the game.
September's can certainly be a challenge in scheduling because that's when the most non-conference games are there. But what have you thought about how BYU's played against this schedule? Because the tough games have really been on the road, and there's another one Saturday.
Yeah, it's a hard part of the scheduling, like you said. You're going to get the big-time teams in the first part of the schedule, and they're not going to play you at the end. Every once in a while we luck out and get an SEC team or somebody that will play you just because of the buys that they have in their conference later in the schedule. But sometimes people say, Tom, we have all the home games that are good next year and none of them this year. How come you didn't balance it out? Well, if I had a board and I could just go in and fill out my dream schedule, I would. But it doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work like that, does it?
No. You get them when you get them. And if somebody, I do, you know, I'm the one to blame when it gets a little bit rough because sometimes I have to make a decision. Do we really want to go on the road and play Wisconsin and Utah and Boise State and Arizona? And Washington. Do we really want to do that in 1 year? Well, you don't look at it all at once. You put in a game and you schedule it and you contract it. Then another one comes, and then another one comes. At some point in time, you have to say no. But sometimes you say yes.
I was going to ask, do you say no to games?
Oh yeah. I've said no to games, and not just so much mainly because we're saturated or it just doesn't fit.
Is this the type of start you had envisioned when you began compiling these exciting new independent schedules?
Well, I think beating Wisconsin is something that you dream about. Like I would say that's what we envision playing them. You just don't want to play them just to go there and have a game and lose. The history of BYU football, the traditions of BYU football is we've won a lot of those games through the years. Now we've lost some, and we don't expect that we're going to win every one, but the scheduling of independence allows you to get those games and allows you to have that experience. Now, we've had some tough experiences in independence. It's super hard when you got to play the crush of an early season, and then it's sometimes not great when you got to finish up the season with a subpar schedule.
What are some of your priorities in scheduling as you are putting these together? Because they have been more increasingly difficult as independence has come along here.
I think early on, people weren't really quite sure about BYU and whether it was a good game. And I think the later years and now going forward into some of the years coming up, I think some of the schools see that's a good fit for them because that has to be a match. It has to be a good fit for both schools. And we have a really good contracted game that we just got. Contract done, but we can't announce it yet because we're not ready. But that would be a game that we'll announce soon that would be what we were looking for. We've been looking for this game for a while.
Power 5?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The smile on your face
Yeah.
says it all, Tom.
Well, I mean, and those are, but, when we play, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the schedule fits and how our team is. Is our team ready to play that year? And that's kind of one of the things that was hard early on. As you schedule these games out, you don't really know who you're going to line up with against those teams. And there were times when, like, if you look at UCLA this year, they're struggling. But they're a good program. That's a team, like, if I put UCLA on the schedule, people would want to say, that's a good game. It's a regional game. We got a ton of fans in LA. It's the Bruins. It's powder blue. It's all those things. But on a given year, they could be a top 15 team, and this year they're down. They're transitioning with a new coach. So you really don't know exactly how those teams are going to be in a given year. Like I'd say some of the teams that are more not like group of 5, those are the harder ones to predict.
Tom Holmoe, BYU Athletic Director, is with us on BYU Sports Nation. I want to dive a little bit more into when you have to say no. What factors have to play in when you're like, you know what, we just can't do it. We can't do it.
I would say sometimes it's the coach with Bronco. Sometimes I'd look at him and say, hey, we have a great opportunity. And he'd look at me and not say one word. I knew what that meant.
I can see that face in my mind.
But Bronco he'd play the games. Kalani's a little bit different. Kalani says, anywhere, anytime, any place. And I like that. But it's still my responsibility not to crush him.
And there's certainly a line there, right? And,
yeah.
During the summer, I said, I want BYU to finish ranked in a season. And you're right, there's so many things at play. So how do you balance? Okay, who are we going to be? Those teams, and where's the line of perhaps too many Power 5s or not enough?
Well, we kind of look at we started out at about 4. And then, if you can get a 5th, it depends on who it is. So it's a really gray area. And it just really, each game is an independent thought. And there's a lot of play that goes into that. I think an interesting thing about the schedule is we do a lot of games to help other people. We wouldn't have been able to do this without ESPN. We wouldn't have been able to do it. And so
it being independence?
Independence and getting the games.
Okay.
So for when ESPN says, hey, we got a really good game that we think would help, it would help us. Will you take the game? I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
Because they'll give us a game, and sometimes we need to, we'll ask them, hey, can you set this one up? And they'll do it. But it's, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. We have a great relationship with them, and I'm so grateful because we wouldn't have been able to get these games without their help.
That makes total sense, right, with ESPN. In 2021, there's 7 Power 5s on that particular one. What went into that idea?
Oh, man, I must have had a bad night's sleep. Sometimes you get carried away where sometimes it is ESPN saying, hey, I got a great game for you. And I'm thinking, don't do it in 21. Don't put it in 21. And it's 21. This is the way it goes.
But none of those teams are like, it's not like you have Alabama, Clemson, Washington. It's like Wazoo, Baylor. Those are games where, you know what? That's a game you can go and win independent of the year.
You're not playing Bama
right?
and Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's tiers, right?
There are tiers. And I think, you guys would be able to look at the future schedule right now, and you could tier them. But then when we get to that year, it might be a little bit different.
Sure. And then even you get into the season, you go, oh, Arizona's probably in a different tier than we thought originally. Cal is better than we thought. Your Cal Golden Bears, yeah.
That's right.
Okay, you mentioned that you're headed up to Seattle. You're dressed for the weather in the Northwest. What would a win do for BYU football this season right now against Washington? How would it impact what is happening, which has already transpired, and that's a number 20 ranking?
Well, I think the obvious answer that you'd be looking for is it would do a lot for Cougar Nation. It'd give us a lot of respectability throughout the country. But for me, the most important thing, it would be an advancement for our team. Our guys, it would mean that we had earned it. And this team has really bright plans for the future. This team is growing. This team is gaining depth. Right now, we're not real deep, but you can see young freshmen and recruits coming in now, and some kids that will be coming off missions that will be the basic building blocks for something really big. And Washington, it can go a lot of ways. That game can go a lot of ways, and we'll see. I usually don't try to forecast it. I just like to see it afterwards and then make the most of the opportunity that we have.
There's some great teams around campus right now. What do you think of what women's volleyball is doing in cross country? Number 1 in volleyball, number 2 in men's cross country, number 11 in women's. Right now, it's going well.
Well, the thing for me is I'm super happy for them. I mean, these are kids that they have dreams and goals just like our football players, and a lot of people don't see it. But when you watch our women's volleyball team, the number 1 team in the country, they're special. They just, everything about them right now is right. And it's a blast to watch them play. It's a blast to watch them practice. The feelings of confidence they have when you see their countenance off the court, it's all good. And that's what you want. It's like for your kids, you want them to have great experiences. And these kids are having super experiences. To be able to see the Smith Fieldhouse full to bulging at the seams is a dream come true. And those girls came here to do that. And it's because of them that the stands are full.
Yeah, turning people away at the door, no less.
And I heard that you were letting students in yourself the other day.
You better believe it.
You opened the side door and you're like, get in here.
That's right. Well, it was all kosher. I mean, I got to the game about a half an hour early, and the lines for the rock pass were enormous, and we just didn't have enough special events people there to beep boop, hit the tickets. So I'm like, Rock, here we go, right here. We're getting you in there because you got to get them in during warm-ups.
Yes.
You want to start intimidating. You want the energy to start building right away. You don't want to have them coming in and taking a seat after game 1. The match might be over. And so, yeah, I did that.
Here is
awesome.
a man who gets it. Who gets it. Tom Holmoe, BYU Athletic Director, with us on BYU Sports Station. We'll finish with this, Tom. I know that a lot of people are very interested in BYU's bowl tie-in, or I guess lack thereof, specific to ESPN this year. However, we're starting to see projections like BYU in the Frisco Bowl and BYU in the Armed Forces Bowl and the Bahamas Bowl.
We like that one.
What's the update as far as all of that goes?
No, but nobody would know at all because we're a free agent right now. We were supposed to be in Poinsettia this year, and when they folded, we became a free agent. I'm excited about it. I mean, we certainly have to become bowl eligible. But the proverbial, let's take it one game at a time, is real. And what I mean by that is if we become bowl eligible, every win after 6 would change the chances of which bowl game you're going to be in. So I think that knowing BYU and the following that we have, if we get 6 games, we would be in, because it's just the nature of bowl selection is conferences don't get 8 games that they're contracted for. They get maybe 6. So there's open games. We start getting to more wins, we get better games.
All right. It seems simple, right? I know it's really complicated at times, but it seems simple. Just win 6 and go from there. Can't thank you enough for your time before you head to Seattle. It's always great to catch up with you. You always have a seat in Studio B.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's good being with you guys.
Have fun in Seattle.
Thanks.